Today, we're going to talk about China and what its potential is for the crypto market. Now, crypto is not open in China, only in Hong Kong. So we have to look at a parallel market, which is the Chinese stock market. The Chinese stock market actually has a lot more similarities to crypto than the American stock market, being a lot younger, and much of it is kind of the wild, wild west. You might think that, oh, Chinese government, extremely powerful. They must regulate every aspect in every country, every company in the Chinese stock market. Doesn't quite work like that because there are a lot of scammers in the Chinese stock market, and it was kind of known for that stuff up until a couple of years ago. It's still pretty bad, but it has actually gotten better. And that actually sounds like another market that we all know and love, crypto. A lot of scams, and it's fairly unregulated because it's a young industry, and plus the decentralized nature of crypto kind of makes it hard to regulate. China's stock market is not decentralized, but like it is kind of new, at least compared to the U.S. stock market, and there was a lot of scams and stuff in there as well. They've actually done several television series on it, and yes, they do over dramatize things, but there is definitely seeds of truth in that. And a lot of people actually get screwed. The government generally isn't going to bother unless it's like something like Evergrande, which is like really, really big. And as long as it doesn't crash the economy, they probably don't care. Plus, I'm going to guess a lot of those government officials actually take part in screwing people, so they're definitely not in a hurry to investigate themselves. Every once in a while, they'll investigate and they'll find some corrupt official and they'll kick him out of the party, hang him out to dry, to just give the illusion to people that they actually care. But realistically, they probably don't. So that's kind of what we actually have right now in terms of the Chinese stock market. And it is a lot like the crypto market. How big is it? How many people invest? Roughly 219 million investors invest in the Chinese stock market. That's just domestically. So the thing is, that's a lot more people than the United States because China has a much higher population. But as a percentage of the population, it's much lower than the United States. Remember, China has like 1.5 billion people. So roughly 13-14% actually invest in the stock market. A lot of the Chinese people, especially those that live in the countryside, are a little too poor to actually invest in the stock market. There is a huge, huge wealth disparity between the countryside and the cities in China, to the point where there's like actually some discrimination from city people against country people. I know that's 100% true because I've been back there multiple times. I was born there, raised there, so even when I was young, like there was that discrimination. I think it's just gotten worse because of the economic disparity between the two regions. So 219 million investors. How much money is in the Chinese stock market? $12 trillion. Now, the American stock market is mostly dominated by big companies. That's not true for the Chinese stock market. I think some of the big companies think it like too risky to actually invest a lot of money in the stock market, so they don't. The individual investors actually have a lot more pull on the Chinese stock market than they do have in the US stock market. The last couple of years, the stock market has pulled back because of COVID and just because the Chinese economy is suffering. And that's bad news for its stock market because individual investors are actually getting a lot more conservative and they're pulling some money back. The stock market was probably greater a couple of years ago before this whole pandemic thing. So in the United States, that turnover rate is only 25% because, I think about 25% of the money in the stock market probably comes from retail investors. In China, that turnover rate's more like 60%. So you can kind of infer that about 60% of the money in the market does actually come from individual investors. And that just makes individual and small investors a lot more powerful in the Chinese stock market. So $12 trillion, and most of that money, the vast majority of that money is domestic. Something like 90-95% of Chinese investment is from Chinese investors, which I also think is higher than in the United States. So, you're looking at maybe like $10-11 trillion in the stock market from Chinese investors. You're looking at 60% of that, maybe like $6-7 trillion, like $6.5 trillion that's possible that could switch over from stocks to crypto. It definitely won't be all of it because, Chinese people are really conservative, and crypto is even more dangerous than the stock market. So they'll have a lot of uneasiness investing in crypto, but I do think some of the younger generation will actually dive into crypto. But that is about $6.5 trillion of money that could possibly come in sometime. But you're going to be fighting with the stock market for that money. So if we can rip apart, a couple hundred billion, maybe $1 trillion, and put it in crypto from China, that would actually be great. Right now is not the most opportune time because people are actually shrinking back from like post-pandemic rally because China has had a lot of economic problems and because of the massive youth unemployment there, I think is getting close to like 40%, and the massive economic problems they have now. Like they don't actually have enough funds to fund all their state services because people aren't having enough kids and they don't have enough workers in the workforce. So they're facing all those problems in the future. A lot of people are actually pulling back and buying like government bonds and yields, and they're probably trying to get some of their hands on US bonds because if the government is kind of like failing to provide social services over there, then it may not all be all that stable. You've heard rumors about people about the Grand Council that's going to replace Xi Jinping. That's probably not going to happen, but like where there's smoke, there's fire. And right now, China's own situation in terms of stock market, in terms of investing, is not all that good. But that does not dispute the fact that there's still trillions of dollars from Chinese retail investors, about 6.5 trillion, that could actually be shifted over to crypto. If we even shift like 10% of that, $600 billion from China opening up, that will probably come into crypto over, like 5 or 6 years. But even at like, about $100 billion or $50 billion a year, shifting from China, shifting in from like Chinese stock market to the crypto market could give crypto a massive, massive boost. I mean, we're talking about $100 million a day in terms of buying pressure, and that would boost Bitcoin way up. And make no mistake, when they start buying crypto, China will mostly buy Bitcoin or Ethereum, the two established coins, because many of the other coins will probably just not be allowed to trade in China. And people over there are more likely just to buy the more safer crypto assets because they already consider crypto a very risky market, which it is, and they're going to be focusing on the safer parts of that market and not the super speculative altcoins of that market. But with so many people and so much money coming into Bitcoin, it will pull the rest of everything up as well. So Bitcoin, again, will be the first to pump because of the sentiment over there, and then the rest of everything will pump as well. I don't really know when this will happen. Maybe late 2024 into 2025. The Chinese government is still reviewing carefully on how they can actually control the inflow and the outflows. The stock market has taught them a few lessons that even with that kind of government, they can't really fully control it. So they got to be even more careful with crypto because of its decentralized nature. At least with the stock market, they can just shut it down if it causes too much trouble in Shanghai and Shenzhen, although that would cause mass panic, and they don't really want to shut it down. In crypto, they can't really shut it down, and they don't have as much control over it, so it'll probably be very, very limited with very few coins available for it to actually trade. But as long as they have Bitcoin and Ethereum, there could be hundreds of millions, billions of dollars coming in, and over the course of a year, there could be hundreds of billions of dollars coming in as over the course of the next couple of years, and that could really play well for crypto. So the thing is, I won't say the Chinese market is going to super skyrocket crypto next year or the year afterwards, but I can definitely say that there will be immense buying pressure once China is actually allowed into crypto. Because remember, $6.5 trillion in the stock market, even if you just take 10% of that away and allocate it to the crypto market, especially when things are bull running, the number is going to be several times that. You're going to see a huge rally in crypto as Chinese people gamble in. And there will be a large group of people that gamble in, just like there is in Korea, just like there is in Japan. A lot of people over there do actually like gambling, although the overall sentiment there is conservative. So buying Bitcoin, buying Ethereum kind of goes right up that alley right now, depending on which ones, which cryptos are first during the time that China opens up. But since they're opening up in the next year or two, it's most likely going to be Bitcoin and Ethereum, which will pull the rest of the market up as well, provide more liquidity for a lot of the other ecosystems, and that will actually be really, really nice for crypto. So my guess is there could be as much as a $6.5 trillion worth of impact in crypto, but more likely you're looking at maybe $1 trillion coming in over several years. But even $1 trillion coming in over several years is easily enough to moon crypto, at least to a large extent. Because remember, it doesn't take $1 trillion to move up the market cap $1 trillion. like once you get rid of the resistance and supports, it can go up really fast. Now it's not going to go up to like millions of dollars for Bitcoin because the selling pressure from any of the whales will be too great. As soon as one of them tries to cash out, the whole thing is going to fall apart. So the thing is like, yeah, can it get us to 300,000 maybe in 2025? Yes, if it all works out right, but most likely it's probably going to pump us along with everything else to the upper 100,000s. So that's kind of the effect I see China has in crypto. It will be slow, but the amount of money coming in could be pretty massive. Although like overall the investment sentiment over there is pretty conservative. There are Gen Z and millennials even who are more willing to take these risks and invest in the crypto market, just like they take the risk and invest in the stock market, even though the stock market was risky several years ago. So that's the news for today. Let me know what you think. Like and subscribe, hit that bell notifications button. Thank you and have a nice day.